I was interested in construction, but in artistic way, and I wanted to go on architecture. So I learned a lot. I was like thrown in the fire, and I think this is the best way for you to learn something. And somehow she managed to convince me to go on the part of the civil engineering.
I'm more close to you guys because my brother is an engineer and we're working together every day. So
You're on our part.
Hello, Teodora. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm working. Actually, I'm on the break now, but I'm on my working place, and yeah, I'm okay. Thank you. How are you?
Really nice. Happy to see you and talk.
Yeah.
I would like to thank you for agreeing to talk because I know you're super busy and you have a tight
Thanks.
schedule. Maybe we can find a way in which we can explain better what we do for others to better understand.
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
I was wondering how did you decide to become an engineer?
It's a funny story because I wanted to become the artist, or as I start to think about it, I was interested in construction, but in artistic way, and I wanted to go on architecture. And this was my main idea. And my aunt in that time was a civil engineer, and she had two daughters, that one is civil engineer and one is the architect. And I knew that she had an experience, and I wanted to talk regarding the architecture. And somehow she managed to convince me to go on the part of the civil engineering, because I was really good at math, and I really liked math. And she convinced me, like, go on civil engineering, is gonna be very good, is gonna be great. And somehow I got in this water. I dropped the architecture and I went to civil. I cannot say I'm sorry. I don't know if I missed something. I find architecture very interesting, but it's interesting in any way. We are collaborating, so I think that I can also do some little architecture in my field.
So what kind of engineer are you? What are you doing actually?
I'm a civil engineer. I finish hydrotechnics. So I finish in Serbia, in Novi Sad, and we have like general civil engineering. And after 3 years, you can, for the last year, choose either to be a civil all the way, either to be construction hydro engineer, or to be a road engineer. And I choose the hydro engineering. But with that one, you can also do all the other stuff. So I wanted to spend a little bit my views. But I didn't work until now, nothing with the hydro engineering. I got stuck in the civil engineering, and it's interesting. Yeah.
So are you more on site or in the office planning stuff?
Oh, that depends of the day. More, I'm a little bit on the side, little bit inside, depending. It's a bit. For now, I was always on the part of the execution. I was not on the part of design, but hopefully one day I hope I'm gonna reach that point that I'm gonna try something with the design, and we're gonna see. For now, I'm on a construction site. With the execution.
So you would like to get more into design or planning, right?
Yes, I would like, but through the years that I'm working, I found out, and you know yourself, you get a lot of projects, you see a lot, and I think that in order to be very good designer, you need to have some experience on construction site. And you need to know how the things function and what is manageable and what is possible to be done. So I think you need to start at the construction site to have good experience, and then maybe to start something. That's my opinion, but yeah.
The projects that you have so far and you have done in the past led you to different countries, right? Like you.
Yes, I started in my own country. I started with a huge project. It was my first baby. It was a huge shopping center. I think it's the biggest one in Serbia now. And that was an experience, I can say. So I learned a lot. I was like thrown in the fire. And I think this is the best way for you to learn something. And this is gonna teach you a lot. So I started in Serbia, and somehow my path lead me from Serbia to Scotland. I am now in Germany. So I don't know what's tomorrow bringing, but it's experience by now. Yeah.
How this multicultural experience changed the way you see engineering from when you started?
A lot. I see a lot of differences from for example, from the country to the country. How people think, how designs are different, how it's huge difference. It's you can see it by looking at the project, by execution, by in any meaning. In the crucial point, it's the same, but if you watch it from the part of the details, it's a lot different. It's a lot different, and I think each country has a different approach. So it's experience. It's very good to see everything and to acknowledge that it's huge what you can learn from all the people and all the countries. So I think it's very good to travel and to see it all. Yes.
In your work so far, have you had the chance to interact directly with the architects and the design team?
Oh yes, daily.
Nice. How is it?
Basis, yes. Did you ask me how is it?
Yeah. How is it?
I can say that it's challenging. It's challenging because, for example, the architects have, as I said, artistic mind, and I adore that at people. And I come from the artistic family, and I understand them, but it's very challenging to manage all of it. And I don't know, I like it. I like the architect part. And for example, my best friend on my last project was an architect, and I had the best relationship with him, and I found him very cool. So it depends on the people, of course. And but I like it very much, and I like the architects, and I like what they do. And actually the relationship with the architect depends a lot on the man himself, you know. So by now I didn't have any problems. I found out a lot, and the relationship was very good by now.
Many people find confusing what we do, like what does the architect do, what does the engineer do?
Yes.
How do you see the difference?
I think beside architects and civil engineers, nobody else knows what we do. So they mix us a lot. Whenever I said I'm a civil engineer, people say, "Oh, that means architect, right?" So it's very funny. Nobody understands, and I had a lot of explanations to a lot of people trying to explain who is doing what, where, and
what worked. What from these types of explanations that you tried, what worked in the explaining and people getting what we do?
The simplest one, actually. When I go too much to the details, they lose it. But for example, I said that the architect is the visual one, the mind, the one that's thinking about functionality, about the functionality, the beauty, the meaning of the project. And the civil engineers are the one who are trying to do something with that thought and idea. So I think this one is the one that worked to explain something. Yeah.
Nice. We here also have a very simple explanation with architecture, like comparing it with doctors or something like that.
Yeah.
When people start to talk about the fact that they don't really like what we do or something like that, we
Yeah.
comparing it to the doctor. When you go to the doctor, you don't really argue with the doctor. Like you don't want to be to get into some sort of operation and not the one that he wants to do or something like that. You know, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
they take different pills or something. You know.
Yeah.
What do you find challenging in the relation with the design team, or more specifically the architects that you work with so far?
Yeah. Well, it depends it depends a lot of the architect or the civil engineer. Everybody has a different point, but for example, I met a lot of architects that know a lot of execution process and know what is how and how long it needs to be and executed, and it depends on the people. For example, the architects that I met, they were very conscious about the time of execution, the problems that you can meet, all the stuff, and they were very helpful. I also met somebody who did not understand those stuff, and they were a little persistent. But I think it all depends of the person, and actually, this is it. I think if we understand each other, the relationship is going to be much easier. And I think this is the crucial point, because I know you are aware of the relationship between architects and civil engineer. I mean, the how they say, the myth of the relationship. Um, they say, I didn't experience it. They said that the civil engineers and the architects don't like each other, and
Okay.
I saw it on the other people. I didn't experience it on myself, but to be honest, I don't understand why. I mean, I didn't had this kind of experience. I first time saw this when I was in the college. So from that point it starts, you know, like
Okay.
the architects watch us differently, we watch them differently, and it starts like this. But I truly never understood why actually it exists, this myth, and the this, I don't know how to call it. It's like I saw it, but it's like crazy. I don't know. Did you saw it?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think you're fortunate to have an artistic background, like you said,
Yeah, yeah,
um, and fortunate in understanding this side of things,
yeah,
the architectural side, maybe. I know there are fields like architectural engineering now, like that combine the two and try to maybe take the best or
to
from both.
merge it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. And I think
yeah,
like this approach is best, like to merge the best things from each profession.
yeah,
I've seen it the same. I think it's more. I think it's more in the engineering part, like because
this is
we,
because you're an architect.
and yeah, but I don't remember actually somebody saying something about engineers as
Yeah,
I went to school or something. But the fact that we didn't talk about you guys, like we didn't had the okay, this is an engineer, this is what he does, or what he or she does, and
yeah,
it's really important to know first, to
yeah,
understand, second,
yeah,
and to be willing to try to work with this,
yeah,
because everybody specializes in different things. And
of
yeah,
course.
I see it now in I'm more close to you guys because my brother is an engineer and we're working together every day. So
you're on our part.
yeah, sometimes, yeah, but we have been challenges,
Yes,
like everybody. Yeah,
yeah.
but I'm understanding. But I feel from understanding to actually doing something, you have to do something. You know, maybe other people understand the role of each other professions, but they don't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And it's a vicious circle that we are in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
what's your approach with the design team?
Here in Germany, when we started, we had some problem with some pipes and some crazy stuff. And we were like trying to figure out what to do. We cannot put the concrete on the slab because we don't have those pipes and I don't know what. And we called our architect and he came and we sit with him and we said, we have a huge problem. We don't know what to do. In order to have this, it's like prolonging 1 month or something. It's like craziness. And he's a genius. I adore him. And he was like, okay, looking, and he said, yeah, okay, like this, and like we're gonna do it without, we're gonna put it from here and like this, and he resolved everything in 2 minutes. And I was like, oh, this is so relief. It's like he solved it in a second, you know. So
how did you think about calling the architect in this situation? Because it's not really an architectural problem.
Actually, it was architectural problem, but our architect is also a client here, and he's the managing all the project, you know. And regarding some stuff that are like some pipes for the heating needs to go through the foundation slab. And it was craziness there with the pipes, and he just resolved it with the different network. And he called these other guys. They're doing this design for the pipeline and everything. And he just said, okay, change it. He's also architect and he's a client here.
So the investor, he's the investor.
Yeah. He's an investor and architect. He's one of the 4 guys. They're like merged into one company. They are investors, and he's the leading part, and he's an architect. And actually, for everything that we have here, we are calling him directly, and he's very helpful. And for example, he understands a lot, and he understands execution part, you know. And from that point of view, he's very helpful. From a lot of situation we had where he was really helpful. So this is when you have a very good architect, it's like he can resolve some situation in a second.
So is this the artistic part that's helping him resolve the stuff, or what?
I don't know, maybe a little bit, yes, maybe a little bit, because he has immediately he has some ideas how to resolve something, you know. Also execution, also our artistic way of mind, you know, to find another solution.
What about problem solving? Do you find this skill like common in this field, or what do you think about it?
Actually, I think it's one of the first things you need to have. Also as an architect, also as a civil engineer, because when you have a problem, you don't have, I don't know, 2 months to resolve it. You have few minutes, or maybe 10 minutes, or maybe if you're lucky, 1 day. So I think you need to be pretty quick and pretty innovative, and to figure it out, you know. I think the architects and civil engineers needs to be very smart people.
Okay.
Because they need to have quick mind.
I was wondering about the approaches in communication. Have you experienced different approaches?
Yeah, I don't know. We had similar approach by now. I like when everybody's focused on the well-being of the building, of the project that you have. So I look this like an approach. Whenever we are resolving some situation, we're thinking about what is the best in the current state and what is the best choice, you know. And if we are looking from this point of view, which we are most of the time, I didn't saw the other approach, and then I think that situations can be easily resolved, you know, and together, you know, like a team. So by now I think this is the best and maybe the only approach that we, like, architects and civil engineers can have, and that we must have, I think.
We are addressing a beginner audience on this channel and with these kind of videos, and I was wondering about the stuff that a beginner architect could learn from engineers, and in this mindset of being a team and working like we should with each other.
Yeah. What would I suggest? And I think this is, I don't know what will be the better thing to do, is when you are a beginner to go on construction sites and to be as much as possible there, to see the environment, to see the dynamics, to see the problems that you have during the execution, to see what can happen, because in construction everything is possible and everything can happen, and to understand this point of view. And I think when people start at the construction site, when they see how is it going and how is the execution part, I think everything else comes much easier. This will be the suggest also for the architects, also for the civil engineers, but also for the architects. It's not excluded. So as much as you can, to be outside, to be during the rain, during the snow, during the every condition, to see. And I think there you can learn the most, you know, and you can see what is helpful, what is good, what is hard. And I think this is the best solution, you know. And for example, I think during my college I didn't had a lot of practice. I had 3 months, and I finished it on some small construction site, and I think this is not so good. I think also during the college, if you can, or your free time, to go somewhere, to barge somewhere, to ask if you can stay, if you can look, if you can participate somehow. I think this matters a lot. I think this matters a lot. And I don't know, what is your opinion about this? Like,
yeah, I have a strong point towards the practice also. Yeah, I feel you live in the la la land if you don't if you don't go and see what's actually happening, or in some drawings or something, like you think you don't really know how to compare to drawings. Like, is this okay or is this okay? They have a slightly changed detail that could affect the entire building. Is it?
Yes.
What's okay? And this danger, like, is I see the education, the system that we have as architects, and I see it lacking the practice, the practicality, and yeah, the going and seeing stuff. At least in Romania, where I'm at right now, and I'm like closely looking at it and seeing different trends in the way people understand that they have to practice stuff. And it's for us, we have 2 years after uni that we are obliged to work in an architecture office, not ours, others, and see what they do and try to work little by little to get experience like this. But when it comes to actually talking about construction sites, nobody talks about it. You only talk about learning architecture from architects. That's why I'm wondering, because I see a lot of things that we could use in your way of thinking and working, and I don't see the sharing, you know, I don't see the interaction between it, between the two, in this case. And we could use a little more of this, like, okay, what do you do, and how do you see things, and how can I respect what you do, understand and feel that you are helping and not being against what I'm, because I feel this is one of the most common situations that we feel as architects, that engineers don't really understand or are against what we propose, you know, and it's a shame, because you're trying to help, and we really don't see this sometimes, you know, like we're too much into the concept and the things that we thought about, and we're really attached to the drawings and the ideas. And yeah, I feel we could cultivate more of this detachment, or the greater good kind of thing, like maybe we had these ideas, but they're not really the best ideas, you know, or from the practical point of view, they're not really, they can use improvement, let's just say that, like, and yeah, we don't have the culture of talking, communicating, understanding, respecting. We lack this in our profession, because everybody is on their way, not really interacting. And yeah, I see this outside our country, or maybe in some firms here, that they understand and they respect the profession that they work with, even though if they are engineers, they are construction workers, anything. But most of them, they don't really, from the start, they don't have this.
Yeah, this approach. Yeah, I saw it. Especially I saw it, for example, on the last project, I saw it in the older engineers. I saw this a little bit of, I don't know how to, a special relationship between them and architects, when they have like a little bit, like, you know, like pushback. And I don't really understand why, because I didn't had this emotion, this experience, and I had totally different approach. And but I saw it, and it's a little strange for me. And I think we should work together, and we could learn a lot from each other. And to be honest, none of the projects can be executed with only architects or with only civil engineers. So we need to accept this, that we are like one, you know, and that we need to work together and to think together and to bring something to life, you know. So it's challenging for sure, but I think that from both sides we need to work on the sharing ideas and communicating more, and just dropping all the, I don't know how you say, ego stuff, and something that you learned from the older engineers and older maybe architects, I don't know, and to drop it and to start a new fresh start, you know, to start something new. And I think we can help each other a lot, just to communicate more and to understand each other more. I think this is the understanding part is the most important part. So yeah, that will be great. I think we will start an evolution,
Of
Alex.
course, yeah.
I think I hope we're gonna start some little evolution, and at least this new generation of the engineers and architects to just to have a different approach, and I think it will be much easier for both sides.
Yeah, I think we need a little more empathy in
Yes.
our relationship, like understanding and the way.
That's for sure.
I was wondering about another thing, the fact that I don't really see girls often in construction sites and being engineers and stuff. How was it for you? Because I think maybe we have in our audience girls that want to go in this profession, but they don't really know how, or think they're like not welcomed or something. I don't know. How did you feel?
Yeah, I don't want to scare anybody, but it's not easy. It's not easy because everyone who sees you first see you like a girl, you know, and this is the first thing, you cannot hide it. So this is and somehow the I say men's, I didn't saw a woman that had a problem with this on the construction site, but the men's workers, engineers, maybe a little bit more workers. Engineers are a little bit more open-minded. They have a little strange feeling, you know, especially when you're young, when you're a girl, in my case, when you're a blonde. So it's like a combination of all of it. So it's a little funny, but I don't know what to say. It's hard. You need to, first thing I went, first day on a construction site, I had a fight with the workers and with the engineers, first day. And I went to toilet and I was like with eyes like this, you know? And I was looking myself in the mirror and I said, you will not cry on the construction site. You will not see your tears. And this is the point when I swear to myself I will never cry on the construction site, and I didn't by now. So I think you need to be strong, and you need to push yourself and prove yourself to others that you're not just a pretty girl that's walking around, and that you have something in the head. And it's nice feeling, because for example, when you prove to somebody who disapproves your existence on the site, you know, and who think that you don't belong there, when you prove that you know something and you're right and you are an engineer and you have something in that head, that's meaningful, you know, and that brings you up and push you a lot. So I think you need to be very strong. You need to be very focused and very, you know, focused to stay there and to do your job. And the rest, what is on your way, it's obstacles, but it's manageable, you know. And I think it's especially hard for the girls, young girls, to step on the construction site, to have some relationship with the workers, to have some attitude and approach that they respect you and listen to you. And I think it's hard, but it's manageable, and it's make your shell very strong, you know.
From your education that you got, did you feel like it was something that prepared you for this in a way?
No, not in a this much. No, nobody told me. Only my mother told me. She said, "Oh my God, what are you gonna do in a construction? You're gonna go with the workers left and right, and how they're gonna listen." She was the only one who said something. Nobody says anything. Actually, I even had some professors that didn't approve existence of the females in this profession. And I even had the experience in my exam. This happened. This is a true story. I went and I get the questions and I answered and everything, and professor was like this, listening to me, and he said, "Okay, Teodora, tell me, what the hell are you doing in this profession? Why you don't marry and go home and bake pies and like have a nice life, you know?" And I was like, what? So it's challenging. I don't know, it's challenging, especially with the older engineers and older workers. I think they're not so used to our existence, but I had a good experience by now. And when you have it's a very good feeling when you have army of the workers, you know, and you build something and you see the results. It's huge. So it's worth it. That's for sure.
I was wondering if you had a course in a uni like that you would hold or something, or want. What would that be? Like a course in preparing you better for what you do now.
For the architects or for the engineers?
For the engineers, in your case, yeah.
Yeah, I had a very good mentor when I started, and I think this was huge impact on me, because he was a very good statical engineer. He was very good in execution, and he learned me how to fast check some things that are very important. And I think it's very good to find at the beginning good mentor, and this is the best course you will have to find a good mentor that will lead you in the good way. He learned me in 1 year or something. He learned me very good for the reinforcement, for example, and I have no problems now checking any type of reinforcement, and knowing what is good, what if it's not executed as the drawings, what is acceptable and how is repairable, and what is possible to do. And yeah, I think it's the best way to find very, very good mentor. I mean, at least to try. You don't know it. For me, it was a lucky thing. But I think even these first years have a huge impact on you, you know. But at least in my case, the first thing that I did was exactly the reinforcement. So I was the engineer who checked all the reinforcement in the project, this project that we have. And this left a big impact on me, you know. And for example, now this is the most, how do I say, the thing that I love the most, you know, the thing that I find myself the most, and I like it. I like all about it. So maybe it's also defining this starting point, defining what you like. Yeah, I am not sure. Is that a theory or true, or just happiness or luck that happened in my life? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You need luck sometimes. It's
Yes.
an ingredient. It's part of the recipe somehow.
Yes. I think in this profession you need a luck. That's for sure. You need to think in each and every situation what could happen, what can happen, you know, and to try to plan it as best and as much as you can, you know. So I don't know, to be honest, I don't know. You need to be creative. That's for sure.
Yeah, well, some people would look at this affirmation like it's crazy because it's engineering, like you can't be creative or something like that, you know. But I feel like you can in every field.
Yes, you can. I think it's not as creative as architecture, but in some points you need to be very creative, and you need to have an idea flow, you know, because sometimes you don't know the answer, and you need to decide at this point, you know, in the matter of some minutes you need to have some decision. So I think you need to be very creative, very creative.
Yeah, there's something like I remember from school, like to find a freedom in restrictions. Some good advice towards this, like even if you don't feel you have liberty to do something, the human mind finds a way to be creative about that stuff.
Yeah.
Or maybe like we have this problem in the field, like starting from nothing, because we usually are the first one there to start it. the building or something else. So it's always best to start from something, and you always have something to start from if you
Yes.
just see it, like the context in which
Yeah.
the building is, or the people, or their behavior, or something like that. It's you always have something there, and it's somewhat a relief that you have something
Yes.
from to start from. And yeah, and you guys have what we conceive, and then we talk about it. It's a process. So I'm having a lot of struggles now with redesigning stuff, but
Yeah.
I think I'm gonna manage it. Going back on the stuff I did and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's horrible. I don't like it. I like when I finish with something to be finished, you know. It's not so good to go back on something, but
As you see right now, I'm a little obsessed with time. I
yeah.
know a lot of people are in this field. What would you recommend from the maybe time management point of view, or maybe from management in general? Because being creative has its flaws, and one of them is the fact that you can't really manage this chaos. And what would you recommend from the engineer perspective, like to be more on time, to on track on something, you know?
Yeah. I think I found this point, the time managing process, the hardest one, you know. From all the things, I think this is the hardest one, because you depend on a lot of things, you know. And the problem is you cannot predict all of them, and it can be problem, you know. It can cause some problems. And the more you know, the more you have the things that you can rely on, the more you can deal, the better you can deal with all the time managing the process, you know. So it's a huge area. It's a huge area, and I think it's pretty hard. But you need to try to look from all the points, you know, from all the points of view. Yeah. What is your opinion about this?
I struggle with it. So
Yeah.
a good system always helps.
Yes.
The fact that I'm I'm okay with having a routine. Many people are not, but I find comfort in this, like
Yeah.
knowing what to do in the next couple of hours, maybe, or tomorrow, or this week, or something like that. That's basically what the schedule is there for.
Yeah.
But I'm still struggling with prioritizing stuff and focusing on things. I mean, like, there are things that I'm postponing all the time. I don't feel like doing, and we are
Yeah.
like
I
under this
know.
feeling pressure. I don't feel like doing it. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
It's something related to responsibility also, maybe, I don't know, but it's a big thing. And like you said, we have to deal with a lot of stuff. So some of them might fall if you're considering juggling some balls or something, you know. And yeah, sometimes it's hard because you get from what I say, what I know, you get emotional about stuff. So this
Yeah.
is one thing that's clouding the judgment, being
Yes. Yes.
emotional about ideas and stuff, and getting head first into stuff. You know, you say
Yes.
stuff you don't really mean, or yeah, it's a, like I said, a vicious circle.
Yes. Yes.
And I think it can be broken, and it can be broken in setting limits, like saying, okay, I'm not going to work after a certain hour, or I'm not going to postpone stuff because I know it's going to get clouded, or clouding as they go.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to
Further.
pile, or get more. So limits, I think, would be a good starting point in any management, like, even if it's time or resource or something like that. It's the limits. It's
Yeah.
where are you willing to work or stop?
For example, maybe the construction, when you are directly on the construction site, it's very hard to plan, you know. I mean, I try every day. I come here with a list in my head. I first thing I do is I make my coffee and make the list what I need to do today, and which is which are the more important stuff, which are like, if I have time I will do also this. So but to be honest, every day I made a list, and I need to be honest, I never fulfilled all the list, you know. So you always have some emergencies that happens. You always need to go somewhere, you need to resolve some things, you need to run around a lot and to check a lot, and yeah, it's challenging, you know, to finish all the things that you need to do. And not even to say about emotion stuff, I am very how do I say, I'm very attached with emotions, with all the things I do. And I don't know why, but some things I don't like to do, that there's no reason for it, I just don't feel like it and don't like it that much, and this always left for the end, you know. And I don't know why I did it, do this, to be honest. I don't know, but I approach with the emotions also, and there are things that I don't like, and I just, you know, just leave them to the end. But I think you need to be organized, and you need to put a list, and you need to try to follow as much as you can, and to prioritize. This is also very important to know. Also, what is how much is some subject time consuming, you know, this is also very important. And what is the priorities. So yeah, there are a lot of factors.
Yeah, I think this is common, and I don't know a lot of engineers to say that maybe all of them are emotional like this, but I'm wondering, how do you feel at the end of the day when you know you didn't finish stuff on the list, you know? Because
no, I'm totally okay with it, because I never did. maybe I'm aiming too high. I always put a lot, you know, in order to not to forget something. But I know that some of the things are like not even for this week, you know, like I need to do this and this in order to have something in 3-4 weeks, you know. So I know that for some things I still have time. So if I'm gonna be sad about the fact that I didn't finish my list, I would I don't know, I would kill myself by now. but no, I think it's all about the priorities, you know. You know what you need to do and what is the most important thing of that day, and you need to focus on that. So yeah, it's difficult, and I think you need also experience to learn what is more important, and what is time consuming. And yeah, because sometimes you don't even know, you know, it appears something in the project that can be a mistake, or somebody oversee it, or somebody forgot something, you know, and it's time consuming. So you need to plan it, but you cannot plan it. So you need to try the best you can.
the more I go, the more I go in the field and see what this profession implies. I see a lot of communication and problem solving. So there are skills that can go in any industry and be useful in any type of field, anywhere you go. Like you always have problems and you need to resolve them, or you always have to communicate with other people, even though maybe you're working alone, you have clients or something like that. And
Yeah.
it's really important. And there are fields that are really neglected by the education, and they don't really talk to you about, okay, how to efficiently communicate with people that have emotions or something like that. And and again, with the problem solving, okay, the situations in the university maybe and in school and in theory are always like lab situations. You know, you don't have anything that is going to interfere with that. You know, like maybe you're not going to feel sick when you do your job, you know, or something like that you will at some point, you know. And this is an external problem, and I'm feeling more and more like a psychologist in the field because of the people skills that we need.
I think the psychology is the huge part, because you are doing everything with the people, you know. You need to juggle between the client, the execution, the workers, the everything that's happening, you know. And everybody has emotions, you know. Only you don't have emotions. So you need to be a very good psychologist, you know. I think you need to be very good psychologist, and you need to have good approach with everybody, because it's all depending on this, how you approach the things. So I think you need to be very smart and you need a lot to think about psychology and the relationships between the persons and all the stuff that can happen, you know. I'm only girl here on the site, and we have workers, and I have colleague engineer here, and I feel, because I'm the only girl, I'm surrounded by the men, and sometimes they're so whiny and cry and like that. I very often say to them, I think I'm bigger man than you all, like bear yourself. So yeah, it's you see a lot, you know, you see a lot. So it's a thing, yeah. I like it. I don't know. I like it. I think the women are more tough, you know. I think we are like more like sharp and decisive, and the guys can be a little bit whiny and cry, but yeah, with the all the mixture and all the working together, it can be something good. I found myself very attached now to what I do, and I will not change it for sure. But I think it's challenging, you know. I think you need to be in the special place of mind to be in this business, you know. You need to be in the special place of mind. I think it's not like anybody can do, you know. I think you need to be special person.